So in this session, we are going to cover, understanding the Power Query editor. So basically, we will jump into understanding the Power Query editor, and in order to do that, I will, again repeat one of the step. Okay, maybe I will repeat the step of Excel, importing the Excel file, and then we can, cover up this. Let me just quickly open a fresh Power BI desktop file. I just opened a new Power BI desktop file, and as per the norm, we have to get our data from here, get data, and either we can go to more, and also we can use the shortcut or the common data sources available here. This time I'm just using this. Click on Excel. So I'm trying to get the data from my desktop, which is saved, this file. Basically, this sheet has got four different tables. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to import all of them together because I'm going to create a model on top of it. And like I said, right, earlier we were just clicking on load. Now I'm asking you to click on transform data because see, when you are pretty much clear with the table, suppose you have an Excel sheet data and you have a one table, and you are very much aware of the data and the format of the data, then you can directly click on load. But the best way is to always go to transform data and double check if the data is in correct format, data type is in correct format, and in other areas like. So that's the reason we have to click on transform data. Let me just click on this. Like I told you in the last session, when you click on transform data, a new window will pop up. Like you can see, this is a new window by keeping the other window as it is. This is called Power Query Editor. This will, you know, open up a new window itself, which is a Power Query Editor, and the data here is now available for undergoing different kinds of transformations. Because Power Query Editor is meant for transformations, we'll do a lot of cleaning, data cleaning activities. It's kind of an ETL tool. This part is kind of an ETL. We'll just transform, like, we are just extracting the data from different sources, like from connecting to different sources here. And as soon as we connect to different sources, we are just transforming the data. So once you transform with a lot of options that we are going to discuss now, then we are going to commit it by clicking on close, or close and apply. When you do this close and apply, again this is going to commit this entire data to Power BI desktop, and this window is going to be vanished, and you're going to see those tables over here, which is ready to reporting purposes. So that is what it is going to happen. So this is,
Santosh,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Can you please repeat what exactly you said after transform data? I just lost it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after transform data, right, when we click on transform data, a new window
Mm-hmm.
pops up, which is called as a Power Query Editor. So this window is the main thing for doing a lot of transformations. Our data preparation, our data gets transformed in this Power Query Editor in this particular window. Okay. So once we are doing a lot of transformations and changing our data types and playing around with our data, adding new columns, a lot of things we can do, splitting our columns. So after doing all those transformational activities, then commit this data to our Power BI desktop. It's like an ETL tool, like you're getting some unstructured data, or some raw data, and then you are making it a proper structure, and we are making it in a proper usable tables where we can use it in models and reporting purposes. Then we are loading it, in the sense we are just clicking close and apply. So this is committing our data to our Power BI desktop. So we are kind of transforming the data from the source. So in our source, basically the Excel sheet might be not in a correct format. It might have a lot of null values, a lot of empty cells, a lot of different invalid data. So we can all clean that up here, and we can structureize it here in this Power Query Editor. Okay.
Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you will
mhm,
show us how to clean the
yes,
data.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to look at few transformations now, because the very first step is to ensure our data is in correct format, and if needed, I'll show you, like few transformations, like what Power Query is capable of. Okay. So The very first thing that you have to do is, suppose let us assume we have started off with this sales data, okay, this particular table. So as soon as I load it, my first thing is to make sure these columns, right, all these are different columns. Excuse me. Sorry for that. So different columns we have, right? So basically we will be making sure our column is in a correct data type. In the sense, see, Power BI is capable of automatically making the data type, to certain format, but it's sometimes it misses doing that, and as a developer we have to make sure each and every column is in a proper format. So before I move on to that, so another thing you have to observe is the center Power Query editor is running on some code called M language or M code. So whatever is happening from the very first step, since our data has come into this Power Query editor, it is writing some M script behind the scenes, and whatever you do also it's going to write in an M script. So what I mean is, let me just do something. So what I do is, let me just do some transformation over here. Okay, maybe I'm interested in, suppose let me just check. Okay, there's a channel column. Okay, we have a column called channel. So if I click on this drop down, I can see the total different channels that are available here in this particular column. So I see, when I click on load more, I can see all of them. So right now there are three different values in this particular channel, right? Distributor, export, wholesale. So now I want only the first, you know uh, three letters of this particular column. So I can use one of the function or one of the operation on this Power Query editor and get that. Let me right click on this, and I can split this column. Okay, and by number of characters. Okay, I just want the first three parts of it. Okay, what I'll say is, I'll just want three. Specify the number of characters used to split the text column. I do not want it to repeat. I click on OK. So basically, what I've done is I've just picked up the first three parts of the particular column, and you can see we got that. It was wholesale, something like distributor. So the first three parts we got, and basically it has splitted, and the other part has gone to the other area. So, so what I wanted to observe is, on the right side there is an applied steps option, where earlier it was here till change type. These three steps were automatically done by Power BI query editor when I imported the data, but these two steps has happened just now when I clicked on this right click and split column by position, and then once it has done, it has again automatically changed the type. So you can see, let me show you. So you can see the entire script behind the scenes on this advanced editor, which is called M query. Can see, so first three steps were automatically happened when first step was going to some particular Excel source, right? It is then navigating it to that particular sheet, because the Excel sheet has got four sheets, and the kind table it is importing, and then as long as it I mean as soon as it's imported, it has changed few data types: order date to date type, order number to text type, and then I have done it manually. The fourth step, I've changed the split column, etc. So this is all M code behind the scenes. So you need not worry about this syntax or understanding this much. A basic idea would be fair enough. So I just wanted to observe like how Power Query editor works behind the scenes. So you nothing you'll be writing in a script, you'll be writing in a M query manner. You'll just do some activity here. It will be recorded like this in a M query format. Like you can, when you click on the fourth step, you can see here the same M query that I've showed you over here in the formula bar. This is for just for understanding, right? You will not be doing anything as such in here, because all we are going to do is these things. Like on the top, you have these transformations. The thing I've just done. Look in the same split column. I've gone through right click and update this, but here also we can do like the same split column. So I'm just you can always go back to the previous step. Like here, you can delete the applied steps, step one, step two, and you're back to the normal, right? So this is the basic idea for the M query. Don't get confused too much on the M query, because we are not going to work on M query. Just for understanding purposes, like how Power Query works here. Okay, and so now whatever you do, like let's start doing some operations here. Like the first job of ours is to check like each and every column is in the right format. So right format in the sense, if you can click on this, the very first option called ABC, you can see the different kinds of formats that a column has. All right, so right now it is showing ABC somewhere here. Yeah, ABC. So it says it's in a text format. We can double check on that. So order number is SO hyphen 00 some number. So it's having both characters and numbers. So it can be, it's a text format. It's not a number format. So text format can come contain some numbers as well into it. So it's a correct format. So I need not change anything. And again, there's a date column over here. So the symbol also shows a date, date type. So you can double check on that, click on this, and you can see there's a date type and the symbol of it. So it's in a correct format. Sometimes even if you have timestamp, it will show as this one. Okay, so you can double check. Okay, my column is configured correctly. Ship date, customer name index, 123, right? Customer name index should be as a whole number here. 123 is a whole number. Let me just scroll. So channel type, again it's a text format, currency code text format. So all of the columns are automatically set correctly. Sometimes Power BI misses it. So you can see unit price. You have unit price, which is actually a decimal value, because the calculation, the part is a decimal value. So it has done it correctly. Again, total unit cost, total revenue. So usually Power BI does it like up to 70% or 80%. Sometimes it misses out on few columns. So that's where we have to come here and check the format of each table. Okay. And just to discuss on the different transformations that we can do here, let me just quickly show you few. Uh, you can go to transform data. So as you can see, the first part of this menu has got so many options. Like usually when you pick up a Excel sheet with an inappropriate table format, like you are not actually doing a table structure on Excel sheet, you might get the top empty rows as well, right? So usually what happens is we'll get a Excel data with in not a proper format. Like you'll get some empty rows on the top. So what we do is we just go there and we'll remove the top rows. Like for example, I'll say I'll remove the top two rows which are empty. I'll just type it, then we'll remove it, and then once we apply, we'll be coming into a normal area of getting our headers onto the top. So this operation we can do that way. And suppose I'm not interested in let me just show you an example for that. Let me Maybe I'll just pick the same Excel sheet again. Maybe this time I will not import the tables, because tables are properly structured. Let me import some sales table from the last, which is a sheet. So sheet usually gets some null values at the bottom. So the same table, I bought it here. Let me scroll down. So you can always check that, 2000 value switch. Let me just increase the value. Maybe I'll just pick up another source where it's not structured. Um, Let me quickly give an example, because I want you to understand what exactly happens. So maybe I'll create some dummy values with three columns in the Excel sheet, right? So what I'll do is I'll say serial number, employee, okay, employee ID something, okay, 1, 2, 3. There's an employee name. Uh, okay, some ID, random ID. So you should know, like you can, even if you can play around with the random Excel file with the data set. I'll just save, Desktop demo file. So I've saved this Excel sheet on desktop. What I'll quickly do is I'll show an example of this. I'm just going to source again. I am also we can also do it from here in the Power Query editor. So go to new source, get an Excel file, and select this demo file. I didn't format it as a table, so you should see the first column. First row as an empty. So you can see it's showing one sheet. I think it is picking up the table. What we will do is we'll try to do something. Oh, this is become intelligent. Power BI usually, this it's ignoring the cells also. So what I want to do is I wanted to add one more cell, maybe some dummy value like employee data. So now let us see what it does. I'm just saying this file. So let me delete this and re-import it again. I could have refreshed it, but I don't want you to confuse. I'll just re-import it. Yeah, you can see now, right, what I'm trying to tell you. So right now it is able to get this null values also. So usually it used to get null values, but I think nowadays if it is just scanning and it's trying to ignore that. So this is how we get the data. Like in in general, we have a lot of null values, a lot of in the tables we prepare here somewhere, like we put it here, we put some lot of headings, right? That kind of data set we might have. So in that case, right, these it will come as like this. So even though the automatically it has changed the type and does something, we can still see our data is not in a proper format. So what I have to do now is I'll just click on you know remove top three rows. Like I wanted to remove the top one row, okay, because first row is null, right? I'll remove this first row. This is one of the operations that I performed. Now what I'll do is I'll click on use first row as headers, this option. So these are the frequently used options that you should be familiar of. That's why I'm covering this. So when you click on first row as headers, what it does is instead of column 1 employee data, column 3, right now they are the headers of the columns. So it will replace them with serial number, employee ID. I'll just click on look at this. And also there's a step applied automatically here. You can notice that as well. When I do this, you can see promoted headers change type. So as soon as a promoted header, it is also trying to read the data of the column and it is changing the type of it. If you wanted to check that, you can just go to the one step earlier, click on here. You can see it promoted here, it has promoted the header, but the data type is not proper. You can see ABC and 123. There is no format as ABC 123. Either it have to be ABC or either it has to be 123. So that's where it identified and immediately it has done some change type logic. Automatically it has done. So when you click on this, you can see, right? So these are the operations that when we import our data, we have to clean our data, we have to remove the null values. So that is one thing. And anyways, like a lot of operations will be covered from Aditi in coming session. So she has one very good session where she is going to pick up a completely unstructured data where we have a different null values, so different error codes. So she is going to do that. And again, right, you can always do the same, use first row as address here. So home button has got a lot of shortcuts of all these three. But if you go to individual menus, you can just look out like what all we can do. For example, if I wanted to let me just go back to sales data, right? If I wanted to transpose these values, like maybe these values I wanted to transpose, I can use this transpose. You can see, so you can play around. If you have some unpivot data, you can do that, it will be helpful. So right now this is a proper table, so it's not adding any meaningful way. But yeah, you can do a lot of activities like you can rename, double click on rename, or else you can click on this rename option, right? You can also fill these values. For example, let me go back to the you know null, and you can also fill these values. Like for example, when you do this fill option, wherever the null values are there, it will be filled up. For example, let me just click on up. So it is trying to insert some value in the null area. You can see it has filled up this value of same thing over here. Okay, because I'm just clicking on this fill option and it's trying to fill the null values. So this fill option will usually fill the null values. And we can do the splitting of this, and we can format. For example, let me just delete this step. and go to the last step. Okay, now what I do is I'll just instead of doing it here, let me just go to some customers table, right? I'll just click on this column, and now I wanted to make this format. Maybe I wanted to capital. You can see the values of custom names are first letter is capital, and the second word is capital. Now I wanted to make it some format like uppercase. You can see all are uppercase now. Then the same step is applied here, right? And also we can extract, like just like I've done, right click and split column. Similarly, we can extract first characters, last characters, range of characters. And we can also count the length of this. When you click on length, you can see it is giving the length of the each customer name. I just selected that and it automatically done. So instead of we want, suppose if we want to keep the column and do that, just click on right click and duplicate the column. So a new column is created. Now I can do this part, like the length of this each customer name, right? So these are all the functions that are available. There are a lot of statistical functions like sum, minimum. So we are not going to cover all these. These are very basic functions. So the major activities that we do are these things, like we split the column, we massage it, like if there are any empty values, we fill it. Like we, if you want some columns to be duplicated, we duplicate it and get the value of it, right? And if we can go to add column, we can also create a custom column using this Power Query editor itself. Okay, so when you click on custom column, we can actually pick up a column and try to write some code here. This is part of M code, so this will be covered in the later session, because for that you need to understand like some a little bit of basic syntax. Okay, so the same way we can actually index this column, duplicate this column, the condition, we can write some conditional condition logic, like if this is equal to 9, then like some if condition, something like that. You can use that for conditional logic, right? And then we have view, and this is view is more kind of an option to understand your data. So basically here there are major things called column quality and column profile, or column distribution. So these are the as you can see, it says column quality. So if you wanted to understand what is your quality of the column, right? For example, let me just remove these steps again. I wanted to keep the null values. Okay, now I wanted to see the column quality. When I click on column quality, it says there are you know 20% empty, in the sense out of this rows that it has got, there's 20% are empty. Okay, so this null values indicate there's some empty value, it's showing there's an empty. So it's trying to give us information about this particular column. If we can go back to customer data, it's 100%, right? Because there's no empty values in here. So I just wanted to show you there, if there is an empty, what is the percentage. So it will show you the quality of the column. At the same time, there's the column distribution. Again, it will give like what are the distinct values, what are the unique values, what of these this will be used in metrics. For example, in the sales data, if you go to the metrics, in the sense you have some order quantity, right? So this will give you like what are the distinct values, like there are eight distinct values over here, like it covering it up, right? At the same time, like you have different values here, like different total revenue. So it gives us value helpful in cases where we need some kind of information. What are the different values it has got, just like here order quantity. So eight unique quantities were ordered. Maybe it is 6, 11, 5, 6. There are eight different values, and there are zero unique value. So this is basically giving us the graphical representation of the same, right? You can see here, if you can take this ship date, it has got 147 distinct and 2 unique. So it is giving some values over here, the percentage of these values. So it is giving more kind of a distribution of the entire values. So all these are required to understand your data, especially you have some unstructured data where you have a lot of null values. Quickly you can see, okay, there is null values inside or not. Okay, so sometimes what happens, even though you do like this, the data will not be loaded. You cannot identify the null values if there are somewhere or some dummy data or some empty values are there. So this will give you a quick understanding of what exactly the part is. And also this column profile, the same thing what it is doing is trying to scan the entire column, and again it is giving you the count. Like if you can go back to the sheet one, so that it's a small set of data, you can understand more. So if you can click on the first part, it is trying to give us So okay, if I'm clicking on the second column, it is trying to tell me, okay, this just it is trying to tell me it has got total count is 5, right? And the errors are 0, empty is 1, distinct values are 5, unique values are 5, right? Maximum it gives like Shilpa. So it is trying to give me max minimum values and the same in the distribution value. So these are just for understanding your data. So when you are getting some unstructured data of some a lot of null values in there, so this is very much useful to understand your data. And when you understand your data, you can see, okay, there's a 20% empty value. I'll know that, okay, I have to remove those empty values. So either I can do like this also, like click on drop down. So you can see there's a null value. You can filter it out. I'll uncheck this. I'll click on OK. There is a filter step applied, and now you can see the empty is, it was 20%, now it is 0%. So I can do this as well. So by understanding this, we can quickly know if there are any errors or any empty values in there. Okay. So this is the utilization of these three options. So let us proceed with our data set now. I'll just delete this sample data. Okay, so first thing is that I have to go individually. I'll just turn this off. View column profile to okay. I just turn these options. Now I'll go to home tab. So what I do is my job is to, as soon as I import the data, first thing is to check my data type. Okay, 123 is correct as a number index. It's a text format, and this is actually I've created a duplicate which is not needed now. Let me just remove this column. Remove. Okay. So, and also immediately what you have to do is you have to make sure your table or query. This is called query in Power Query Editor. Okay, here it is called query, and when you commit this one, the same thing will be your table, customer table. Okay. So you have to rename it properly. Like right now it says customer underscore data. I always suggest to keep it in a minimal naming convention. You can see customers table. Okay, click on enter. So when you do that, it will be renamed, and you can go to the next table and check. Then okay, its format is 123. Product name is text, and I'll change the name to products. Okay, and regions table, index, suburb, city, postcode, longitude. I think all are in a correct format. I'll just rename the table. Sales table. We have seen this already, so I'm just going to save it. Okay. So once it is saved, the next job is to close and apply. When you close and apply, just look at on the screen what is happening. It is trying to commit. There's a pop-up comes up which says it loads data for those tables, and also it creates some connection in the model by default by detecting some relationships automatically. As you can see on the right side, what has just happened is, so whatever changes you have done, if you have added a new column, if you have deleted some column, those changes would have been applied already, and it is committed to our Power BI desktop, and they're created as a table. Sorry. So right now you are on a report view, like I always tell you in the first session. Right? So if you wanted to see this data of these tables, you have to go to data view. Click on data view, and you can see the data now on your Power BI desktop. So earlier you were also able to see the data, but it was on the Power Query Editor where you are ready to transform those. But right now you have committed your transformations, your ETL part, and now you can see the actual data which is sitting on Power BI desktop. Okay, like this you can see individual tables. So now okay, you've got your data. See, if we had only one table, okay, it was all good. We could have just jumped into our reporting and started doing visualizations, right? But it has many tables, so we have four tables here. So whenever you have more than one table, right, so you have to make sure if they are related, how they are related. So there is something called relationship that you have to mention between the tables, which is called as a data model. Okay. And basically, you have to look at the data model and see, understand, like what kind of data model you have to use, and what can be done. So that we are going to look at in detail tomorrow. I'll be covering data modeling concepts tomorrow. So just for your idea, what has happened is when you clicked on load, Power BI try to create some automatic relationships because you have loaded the data, but you have not created any relationships. But Power BI try to pick up some relationships because there is an option set automatically. So either if you wanted to set this off, you can do it. You can always go to options and settings, click on options. So there's an option as data load. So here automatically it says auto detect new relationships after data is loaded. So because of this, it was trying to detect some relationships and create some relationships. So that's what happened, right? When you clicked on apply and close, there's a pop-up which was while loading the data. This particular step has been applied. You can always uncheck that if you do not want it. Uh, so we are going to cover more on the data modeling tomorrow. So right now you must be pretty much aware like how you are, playing around with Power Query editor, right? And if you wanted to just look at the script M script over here, like just check like there's an removed columns I applied, right? The same new thing also comes here. Like for example, I have initially I've duplicated the column. If you remember, I duplicated the column for customer's name, and then I've calculated some length of that text length of that, and then again I removed it. So if you are aware of how this entire thing is happening, you could have done one more thing also, because you have created, you have removed it. So it's these three steps are not needed actually. So you could have deleted these three steps here. So when you understand more like how things work, you can, the benefit of this is you will keep the code minimum. Okay, so that's where the understanding of this query comes into picture. Okay, so one more major thing that you have to keep in mind is so whenever you have some date, different tables, you have to make sure to have a date table in place, like power either there are two things to get your date table. Let me just tell you. So whenever you're doing a lot of reporting and a lot of calculations in your report, there's always a suggestion to have a proper date table. So date table is very much important, or a calendar table. It's also called as a calendar table, because this table is very much important to do a lot of activities or a lot of calculations, especially if you wanted to show your data in a different formats, like wanted to showcase the data by yearly, monthly, quarterly, weekly, and you wanted to navigate or drill down easily in an hierarchical manner. This table helps us very much. So keeping this table in our model is very much important if you are having some forcing the requirements, like with adding some data related information. Okay, so I always suggest to go with some date table. You have to definitely have a date table in your model, so that many a times we slice and dice our data using time field, date time fields, in the sense year, month, quarter, week, right? So that's where it gives us adds more value to our visuals when you do that. So a date table can be bought into our model in different ways. So the first way is, I'll just tell you. The first way is to from Power Query Editor, or I can say M query. Yeah, you can write some M script standard. You need not know any script. You can just copy paste some script. Okay, we can have it handy. This is one way of doing. The second way is there are some DAX functions which help us to do the date table. Okay, so with this thing we are going to cover in future sessions. I'll show you how we can do from DAX. Right now, since we are on Power Query Editor, I'm going to cover the first part. Okay, I'm going to cover the first part. So for Power Query, editor, we need some M script. So this M script is need not you need not memorize this. You need not know anything of it. All you need to have is a copy of it with you. Even since I'm working since past 4.5 years on Power BI especially, but I never remember the script. I just copy paste it. I have it handy and I copy paste it. So that should be fair enough. So the M query, what it does is it will just like if you can see, this is an advanced editor. So I have some script like this, which is a part of calendar information or a table. I mean date table information. So when I paste it here, paste something like here and run it, it will create all those relevant columns, right? That's what it does. And again, we have some flexibility to add some input values to that, like some ranges from which date to which date do you need something. that kind. Okay, so right now I'll just pick something for you. I'll have that script on my desktop. One second, it should be somewhere. Just hold on, I'll just get it from a different location. Mhm. All right, so this is a text document on the desktop. I'm just trying to open this. You can see basically it has got some M script, properly structured M script with all the columns that we would need in a calendar table. Okay, so all we have to do is we have to just copy this. You have to paste it somewhere. I'll just show you. I'm just doing Control A, Control C. Just go back to your Power Query editor, right, and click on New Source. New Source is nothing but it's just like a get data thing, but it's on Power Query editor. Here you have to set something called blank query. Okay, write a query from scratch. Okay, query has been opened, so it just opened that query and it is giving me some something to write on function. There's a functional bar. I do not want to do this. I wanted to go to advanced editor, click on advanced editor for this particular new query. Do control all here, delete this so that nothing is there. Now click on control V, paste it. Okay, I just copy pasted the text right from that particular text file. And as you can see, just for an understanding, it has got a lot of things like year number, quarter number, year, day of week name, week ending, week number, month and year. By this you have to have some understanding that okay, why am I doing this? Because it is giving me so many calculations, readily available, month in calendar, a lot of things. Because otherwise I would have to sit down and write a lot of function, right? So that's where calendar table is very much useful. I click on done. So it is what it is doing is it is creating a lot of columns with all these values. But again, we need to pass some. If you can see in the very first step, there's something called start date, end date, fiscal year start month. These are kind of an parameters it is expecting us to put in. When you click on done, right, it is asking those three values here because it is asking, okay, I am ready to give you the columns that you are asking me to create, but please tell me like what is your range of data that you need. That is the flexibility of this table. So we can give our range. Like for example, how do you give your range? You give your range depending on your data set. For example, you go to sales data and see, okay, what dates I would need in a calendar table. You need not need like all the 100 years of data, right? I mean 100 years of date information. You need only related to your actual data. Like you go to your sales table and see, okay, there's a date information here. I think there are two dates in our tables, and you go here and you'll see, okay, what is my start date and what is my end date. You just do like this and you can understand your date is starting from 2019, right? Right, you can understand, okay, your date is starting from 2017, sorry, 1st January 2017. So what you do is you know your start date, and you end date you can give it like 2021, even though if it is not the actually the correct end date, but you can be little above what is needed, right? So you can give a start date of 2000. You can just type in the format. You can see I'll just type 0101 2017 is my start date, and I'll say 2021 31st December 2021 is my end date. Again, fiscal year, it's all, it depends. Like if you are in India, usually you follow fiscal year of your fiscal year starts from 4th, like April. If you're in US, it starts from January 1st, right? So it depends. Like click on invoke. As soon as they invoked, what happened is it has passed those parameters and it has auto generated me a table with all those values. As you can see, the start date is 2017, the end date would be 31st December 2021. And as you can scroll to the right, I mean, you can also check the years from year drop down. You can see this 2017, 18, 19. You should have 2020, 21 also. You click on load more, you can see that. You can see 2020, 21, right? So you got all the data in here. As you can go to the right, you can see what all we got, right? And got different month names. So I can see automatically got all these month names, month and calendar, quarter one, It also giving me day in week, right? Day in week, and week numbers. I think in the last year, week numbers. It has got all the week numbers. Like it, we have all the 15th week, 14th weeks. So all these calculations are very much important, right? They're readily available for you, right? That's the beauty of this date table. Okay, so that is the reason we create this date table. So this is a way to create your date table. And once you created the date table, the first thing you have to do is you have to click on this table name. Right now, the table name is called invoke function. You can rename it to dates table. Okay, you can rename it to calendar also. It depends on you, how on whatever name you have to give. So right now you can see there's an extra query here, which was actual query, which we bought it, and then we have passed an input, and when we pass that inputs, that this table has been created. Okay. So basically, this is related to this table. So it will be in the Power Query editor itself. You need not worry about that. You can, and also you can group these queries. For example, to for a better management, what you can do is you can just select these tables and right click, move to new group, create a new group. You can say data model group, or I can say data model. So this will be grouped together. You can keep it separate. You can minimize this other queries. We can hyperate queries. Now you have all the tables of your data model at one place. Okay. So now you have got this dates table also in place, and also you can double check, like, few things. The formats are wrong or correct. Sometimes you can see, like, suppose the date format is in a date format which is correct. Okay. Now there's an year format is in ABC. So year can be changed to number, right? Whole number, or it can be ABC. It's not going to help us much, because I'm not going to use it as a value. I'm going to use it as a kind of a slicing item, because I'm not going to sum, like, 2017 plus 2017 like that, because it's not a metric that I'm looking at it, right? So even ABC should be fine. Let me go to the right and just quickly check if I can see any disturbances in terms of format of the data. Okay, week number, month, year. I think the last one, right? So it was this ABC 1 2 3 together means it was not able to detect it properly. So what we have to do is we can just make it any ABC text format, because it has got F5 and 17. Right? Yeah, I think that's it. So as soon as I did this, there's a new step applied, and once you click on close and apply, the data will be committed to that. You can see it loads the data first, right, and then it detects the relationships, and it commits the table over here. You can see. Now you can go back to your data view and check the new data, I mean dates table. Okay. Right. You can always click on home button, and you can go back on clicking transform data to the Power Query editor like this. Right. Or else close this, or else you can do one thing. You can also right click on a table. Suppose you are wanting to edit this products query, right click on edit query. It also opens up a Power Query editor, and you can navigate it to the same products of that Power Query, I mean products table, as a Power Query editor. You can do whatever changes you want. Okay. So this is a Power Query editor. We do a lot of transformations, and we can clean up the data, and also you can filter out the data. I showed you how to filter the data. Right? Suppose if you wanted to keep uh, only 4 years of data, like you wanted to remove this 2021, click on OK. I removed the 2021, and you can see the filter step as basically not equal to 2021. So it has applied. We least bothered about this internal logic what happened, but I'm just making you understand like what happens in Power Query editor. So as soon as I've done that, there's a filtered rows uh, a line of code is applied, and there's a new condition as a year not equal to 2021. And you can see we have only data for 4 years now, from 2017 till 2020. Okay. So you can get the data whatever you want here, like by doing a lot of transformation. So We'll see more transformations in another session, which Aditi has got a very good data set structure with completely unstructured data. When we pull that unstructured data, we get to work on additional transformations where we can, replace values. Suppose we have some dummy values like some ABC or some random values. We can always replace those values with some other values or do a lot of transformation. So that will cover more. Okay. So right now this is all about Power Query Editor. I think there's one more thing. Okay, I'll just show you this dependency of queries. What happens? So grouping of queries is the same thing which I've told you. Is basically I've grouped them into one model, data model group, right? So if you have many queries, for example, you think you wanted to group these three queries into a different, you can right click and move to a new group. So it all depends on how do you want to group your queries. You can, it's just like a folder structure. We create and keep them in a proper understandable format. Sometimes what happens, you get more tables, more and more tables for different purposes. So I can create a new group and add those new tables into that particular group, so that as soon as I come into Power Query Editor, I'll know, okay, these five tables are part of data model, these are part of queries. I mean, there's this part of queries that we bought it, just like parameter queries, and maybe there are supporting tables just for supporting purposes. We can create a new group called supporting queries. Like that, we keep on creating a new new groups and create add those tables over there, right? So and there's another thing called dependency query dependencies. So what exactly this means is, like, if you can see this option called query dependencies on the right, this part. So when you click on this query dependencies, it will show you what is the current structure of your tables. For example, uh, I bought some this particular original source of my data sources Excel. I can see it's coming from C drive as an Excel file. You can over on that and see there's an Excel SX file coming from. So that source is one, and they have been the customer's query is coming from the same source product. Sometimes what happens, right? Yeah, we have it, right? So you can see but the dates table is not part of this, because dates table is loaded from a query. So it says query one, right? It says the original source is a query. And suppose you might have an Excel sheet too. So suppose if I'm getting regions table from a different Excel sheet, you would have seen a new source, and as a new table. This particular area gives us a picture what is the entire dependency of our queries. For example, you have this product query. What is the dependency of this? Right. So this is what it is showing, because sometimes what happens, right? Let me give a quick example of you. Right now, just remember this, how the structure of this table is. Now I'll do one thing. I'll get regions table in a different format. Okay. I'm going to delete this regions table here on the left side, and I'm going to get it in a different procedure. Okay. Let me go back to advanced, transform data. I'll delete this regions table. Okay. If you remember, I picked the regions table along with the initial load of my Excel sheet by checking those four tables at once. Now what I'll do is I'll make use of this customers table. I can do that. I can right click this query, copy this query. I can paste it here. Control V I can do, or else I can right click this query. I can duplicate this query. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just duplicate this query. Instead of duplicate, what I'll do is I'll paste it, copy paste it, so that I'll explain you that. Okay, just Control C, Control V. Okay, I just copy pasted it. You can see this new query with customers has been created. Now from the same code, I'll get a regions table. How? You can see on the right side, I can go, I can check, click on source. So what has happened? First step was to scan the Excel sheet, and it is picking up this step. Second step was, just picking the customers table. But here I do not want to pick the customers table, but regions table. What I do is I click on this table. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Click on this table. When I do this, what it says is it asks me is to insert a new step here, because we are overriding the step. So it is asking me the same thing, a navigation step. You are able to create a navigation step that replaces the subsequent steps. Do you want to continue? Yes, I wanted to replace the customer picking up. I wanted to pick the regions table. You can see there have been few steps applied, and now you can see there's a regions information has been bought, suburb, city, and all, right. You can check that as well. Navigation pane, it has bought the regions table, and I think this time it has picked the sheet. That's where it getting the it's not picking the direct columns, and so then it is making the headers, and then it is doing some change type. It is formatting the data types. It has done automatically, as you can see. Now I know this is a regions table. I rename this as a regions table. Okay. So now go back to the query dependencies, because I bought it in a different way. I think even though I copy pasted it, it has done the same source as Excel. So what I wanted to do is, mm, okay, my example was something else. Let me just show you. Okay, let me do one more thing. No? Okay, I want some channel information. Okay, I have a sales table. Okay, from this I just want a new table which has only the channel information. I wanted to keep this as a separate table. So what I could do is I'll just uh, uh, duplicate this. Okay, and I rename this as a channels. I'll just do one thing. I'll just keep the channels information. I can do this. There's another transformation step that I'm showing you. Right now, right click on this, remove other columns. You can see what has happened. I just kept one column from this channels table, and I'm going to rename it as a channels table. Okay. So I've just created a new channels table, and uh, this is let me go back to the again, you can see a lot of duplicates, right? You can always do another transformation step here. You can see remove duplicates. It only keep three values now, which are unique values. So now we have a proper table with channel. Right, you can also add a new column here. For example, you can have some index column to make it as a join, right? Just in case. So for that, you can always add an index column. Go to add column, click on index column. So you can add from 0 or 1. So from 1, you can see this 1, 2, 3, an index column has been added. So your channels table is ready now. You can let's go to query dependencies. So channel is also kind of tweaking this part, but basically what I meant is like you can always go from here and get to add some more queries. Like your source will be this, and then you can. So basically, it will give you the flow of your data, like how your flow is happening. So the first flow is this, and then it is coming here, and then if you are trying to incorporate some changes, or you're picking this as your source, then the data would be different. So maybe for this I need to get you a different data set, because here we have everything into one single sheet. You are getting like this, but maybe I'll get some other example to showcase this particular example again with a proper, because I wanted to show you another level of table which comes here as part of the next step, so that it says your original source is this and not this. Okay, so that's what I was trying to show. Okay, let me give me a minute. I wanted to check another option. Yeah, I think it's reference. Let me just go to query. Yeah, sorry. I think this is the step that I was missing. So when we do reference, right? Reference is the one. So I was trying to look into this option. I was missing on that option. Yeah. So reference, what it is doing is it is I could have done this channels part on the reference thing, but my idea was to show you, if you are referencing it, what is happening is your the new table, like maybe I'll rename it as new table. Okay, so this new table, if you can go and look in the query dependencies, this new table, the source for that is regions. So I reference the regions table and I've created a new table, right? So this is what I meant. I was not getting this, so I just understood. So basically, when you do reference, right? So it reference this original table as a source. And the original table source is again Excel. This way you keep on extending your table if you wanted to reference to it. Okay, because your this new table is dependent on this table. It's not dependent on the Excel table. Okay, it's directly dependent on this table. So this is where your query dependencies will show, and this is useful in some scenarios. Okay, so this is all about Power Query Editor. Guys, if you have any questions, you can take that up now.
Thank you, Santosh. One question. Uh, do we have something write up about this, like any notes about this? like, of course, we are God. Like, I understood what you said right
Hmm.
now, but
Hmm.
just to revise, uh, maybe if I want to practice the same thing, how can I do that?
Okay, so basically we have lot of Power BI these days. Like everybody is picking up, and there are a lot of tutors and a lot of material available online. So maybe
Okay.
what you can do is like because there are so many things. Because if you go there, the thing is they will drag it into different area. So I
Hmm.
don't want you to get confused, because suppose just in case if you are wanting to explore more functions, like you can just go and do a Google search like Power Query Editor transformation. So when you do Power Query Editor transformation, they'll cover up hell lot of like all this basic to basic. So it will be in depth Power Query. So at the moment you sit on that, maybe you get confused,
Hmm.
because I try to show you the major ones. Maybe if you can just open up the tool, my best suggestion is open up the tool, just go through my recording and just play around the same thing. You can try to replicate and try to do the same operations, so you will be comfortable with the tool and all. So later on, once you complete this course, you can work on the different functions. Or else you can do one thing. If you want to read it, right, you can just do a Google search for that. You get a lot of blog posts. So maybe you can pick up only the needed part, like because if you go with some other things, you will get confused, because there are a lot many things. For example, there's a convert to list, right? So right now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
this is not needed. Like there are so many things, like trigonometry functions.
No worries. I can just open and explore, and whatever you did
Yeah,
right now,
so
I
you can
can
just
just do
pick
it.
up the ones which I'm teaching and then try to
Yes.
replicate. You will get a lot of blog posts. You can do that as well. Yeah.
And eventually we will get hang of it. No worries.
Yes,
I
yes.
just curious. I was curious. That's the reason I asked you.
Yeah, we have so many materials on Google. So right for I mean, I didn't make any text format of it, because I've
No
been
worries.
teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do not have one.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Santosh.
no problem. Yeah. Any questions, Shilpa, Lakshmi?
Yeah, Santosh, I have one question
Yeah, tell me.
regarding that calendar table. So, that calendar table is only related to one worksheet. If I am going to work with another worksheet, should I have to be run that query again to build that calendar table?
Uh, when you say when you are building when you are using a new worksheet, what do you mean? You
Yeah,
are going to create a new Power BI desktop and
yeah,
using
yeah,
yeah. In the new worksheet, you definitely have to replace. So as long as
yeah.
you have the same Power BI desktop, this dates
Mm-hmm,
table is there. When you're creating a new, totally new, just like I started from the
mm-hmm,
beginning, creating
mm-hmm,
that, there will be nothing there. So when you're importing a new sheet, your only new sheet will come there. There will not be dates table. Again, you have to copy paste this script, right? You can copy paste the script and get your that dates table, because this is generating from Power BI desktop only.
mm-hmm.
We are using the features of
So,
Power BI desktop. Yeah,
okay. And one more thing, that that date table could be able to import anywhere else,
that's what we are
like
doing. We are
in
indirectly importing. When you say anywhere else, in the sense, how?
we have created that table into our Power BI desktop. If
Mhm.
I want to import that table into my Excel sheet, so could it be possible from here?
You can copy this. You can, for example, when you close this, you can copy your data to Excel. Like you can generally
Okay.
copy this. For example, you can
Mm-hmm.
go to the data view. Basically, you have that option of copy data. So
Mm-hmm.
we can copy table. You can see copy table,
Okay.
and you can just copy your data in a new Excel
Mm-hmm.
sheet. For example, I'll just paste it here. So what I've done is I've just copied the entire columns of product
Okay.
table and pasted here. Same way, dates table copy and just paste it here in Excel, so that you can explore more. Okay, just like this
Okay.
copy table. Let me add it to new sheet. Paste it here. You can see that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Now I got it.
yeah. You can use the data there. Any more questions?
And I want to share my screen with that my problem, Santosh, that MS SQL.
Yeah, yeah. Please
Uh,
do. Yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. Let me make you. I think you can check if you can share, if you're able to share.
mhm.
Stop sharing. Yeah, I mean you can share now.
Okay. Uh, So this is my Power BI desktop, and I want to get data from the SQL Server.
Okay. Were you able to
I
log
have,
into your SQL Server? How
yeah,
you
yeah,
got
my
this?
SQL
Okay.
Server is running. I
Oh,
will show
cool.
you. Like my SQL Server is running, and it's connected with the server.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm trying to, uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So this is my server name, and I think database is optional, so I'm
Optional.
not
Yeah.
giving,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So if I'm click on that, it will give me that error.
Okay. The connection will with the login process. Should authority not trusted. Successful established server. Oh, it was happening in the very first attempt also.
Yeah,
Mm, okay.
actually I Googled
Sometime.
it for that problem, but the people said so many things actually.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Can you just show me your SQL Server login? Like we are able to log in, and I want to see if you are
yeah,
able to log into
this is,
SQL Server. Yeah.
yeah, window authentication actually.
Oh, okay. Are you sharing that SQL Server?
Yeah,
No, I'm not able to see. I'm still seeing Power BI Desktop.
okay.
I think
But
we have to
I'm on
stop
the,
share. Yeah, stop sharing, and we can pick that window. Maybe sometimes we pick only that particular application. So if we are not picking the screen share, which is in the very first option, we will not share.
so are you able to
Now
see?
I'm able to see it. Okay. Okay. So basically Windows, right? Yeah, I'm getting the point. So
Mm-hmm.
Windows authentication, see, unless or until you have a Windows ID from Power BI desktop, I think this option would fail. So I
Okay,
suggest you to create a new, you have an option to create a new SQL authentication, right? Just
okay,
log into this. I mean, just click on connect. So once you can connect, you can. So this is the administrator ID, is it?
yeah.
So you can always create a new user, right? You can create a right click. I think you can create a new user, I guess, somewhere.
Yeah, so if you are saying that, okay, so I will try it by myself to create
Yeah.
a one
Create
SQL
an
Server.
SQL authentic, I mean, SQL server user, like SQL authentication
Okay.
option instead of Windows.
So I'm going to stop my screen, and
Mm.
I'll do it by myself. And if
Mm.
the problem will resolve, it will be good. Otherwise, I will talk with you again.
Yeah, sure. You can you do one thing, like first you do the SQL authentication user, and
Okay,
you log in with the same ID password in the SQL server,
okay,
and
okay,
then connect. If it is persisting, definitely will look. And meanwhile, I want you to share the screenshot with me over the WhatsApp, so that even when I have some time, I'll just check what is the issue. Like is it something with to exactly Windows, or because usually we go create a separate, unless or until you are working on the company's
mm-hmm,
machine where you have everything is
mm-hmm,
integrated, like Windows AD will be the authentication type, where your Outlook email ID, your Power BI email ID, your the same, all those things will be the same username. Like
okay,
some will be some username fixed, and they'll just add that username to every access that you need in terms of
okay,
databases,
okay,
in terms of
okay,
Outlook and others. So that's where,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that thing and let you know about it.
Okay, sure, sure, definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, anything else, guys, like related to this questions today?
No, Santosh, it was clear and thank you for the session.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just stop the recording so that if you have any